All right. Good evening, everyone. I am super excited that you have joined us here. You are currently in a virtual band rehearsal, so if you're in the wrong place, I don't know how you showed up here, but anyway, we are also streaming in Facebook, so just be aware that you will be in there too. All right, so what we're going to do, I am going to just give a brief overview first, kind of talk about a few things about the rehearsal, and then we will go into the actual rehearsal. So you do not have to have your camera on right now, but I will make you turn it on later because I make my students do the same thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and just like I said, go through a couple of things before we get started. So for people who are looking in the Facebook Live, you can see that I shared my screen, so the people in the rehearsal are only seeing the pretty parts of my screen, and that's what I typically do in my rehearsals as well when I have slides to put out. It just makes it a little bit easier. So people who are in Zoom, you can look at the Facebook Live later if you want to know what I'm talking about, but anything that is in this green box is the only thing that people in the actual Zoom room will see. All right, so welcome. Today, I am going to show you how to run a virtual band rehearsal. All I ask is that you come with an open mind. This is not going to be the same exact thing as running a rehearsal in a physical location, and this is the best way that I kind of found would be possible for this. So just keep an open mind throughout this, and that's all I need from you. Okay, so who am I? I am Michelle Rose, and so I currently teach at a full-time K-12 virtual school. So I was doing this all before, there were these mass school closings. I teach 8th grade music, general music, high school music appreciation. I also have an extracurricular virtual band/orchestra and virtual choir. And so if you're interested in seeing how I run the virtual choir, yes, I do things slightly differently. You can see the recording I did yesterday. It's in the Music Educators online Facebook group. And I also direct the IMES Virtual Honor Band, the International Music Education Summit run by the wonderful Elisa. So I am directing that project as well. This is the first year that we've had an honor band, and it's been really exciting. And at this very moment, my virtual school is still open and running, so I had a full day of normal whatever I was doing, whatever I do on Mondays. Today happened to be a teacher work day, which was nice because even though our students are continuing as normal, this is still really impacting them, especially because they may have siblings that are working from home or that are at home now. Their parents might be working from home, so it is still an adjustment for them. And also my grades were due today. So I spent the large part of my day trying to just get all my grades done. All right, so, I already said that. All right, on the outset, I just want to reiterate that this rehearsal is not going to show you how you can hear all of your students at once with excellent sound quality. That is just not possible right now. It may be, hopefully, in the future. That would be awesome. I would love to come into a group with my kids in a virtual classroom and be able to hear all of them with perfect sound quality all at once. But right now, due to everybody's different lag speeds, lag times, if you play, it's never gonna quite line up. So I can't tell you how to do that right now. So if that's what you're looking for, I don't got answers for you on that. However, I do have a creative way to still have a rehearsal. I will also say that this rehearsal is not going to replace the experience of playing in person. I don't think anything virtual will ever replace that. And the thing is that even though I teach at a virtual school, we still have in-person events. In fact, I had an in-person get-together for my virtual ensemble members planned in April. We were all going to get together and play and sing in person. So this, even in the virtual setting, students are still getting together face-to-face. And they were definitely super bummed that that event also got canceled, because as all gatherings are pretty much being canceled, that was canceled as well. So I can't replace an in-person experience for you. And don't worry, I've seen a lot over the past couple of days saying like, oh my gosh, if we do a great job at this, people are totally going to think that we can do this all online, and that's what admin are going to think. And I will tell you, from working at a virtual school for a couple years, I promise you this is not for everyone, and we are not going to be just online. There's nothing that can replace an in-person experience, that is for sure. So don't panic if you feel like, okay, if I do this really well, then my admin's going to think I can do this all the time. I promise it's not going to be like that. Just case in point, there are plenty of online music master's programs. I'm in one right now, but there are still plenty of people who go and get their master's in person. So it's just two different experiences for two different kinds of students. And the students that come to my school, they may have dealt with bullying, or issue that they have to miss a lot of school. They may have mental illness or be overstimulated by things. They may travel a lot for, performances or for sports or something like that. Or they're just looking for a different way of getting their education, or maybe their district doesn't have the best education. And so online education, definitely for a very specific group of students. Now, it's kind of everyone all at once right now, so we're adapting, but just want to say this, that in-person experiences are really valuable, even in the virtual setting, and don't feel like if you do a good job, then suddenly this is going to replace your job. It's not. I promise you, okay? The virtual education, not for everyone. Still so important to have in-person events. Okay, but we can't do that right now, so we're going to talk about how we do this. How and why I developed this virtual model. So like I was saying, I teach kids. They're across the entire state of North Carolina, so they are from tip to tip. I think it's like, I don't know, a couple hours to get from edge to edge of North Carolina. Students from all over. And so ever since day one, I was the first music teacher at this school, and ever since I got there, students, families, always asking for performance opportunities. How can I sing? How can I play in band? How can I play in orchestra? I used to do this at my other school. I take private lessons. I play in my church band, but I want to do this at school. And so I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how to make this work, because I truly believe that every child deserves a high quality music education, whether they're going to school through brick and mortar, online, and I just had to make it work for my kiddos. So I started digging, and I thought to myself, okay, Eric Whitacre, he has a virtual choir, and it is awesome. Like, he brings people from all over the world into one video, and it sounds beautiful. And so I was thinking, though, these people who are participating in Eric Whitacre's virtual choir are either professionals or high-performing, high-level amateurs. And so these are the kind of people that can take a piece of music and practice it on their own and get it to a performance level, and with just a little bit of guidance, a 5-10 minute video from Eric Whitacre being like, okay, and here is this part, and you want to say this here, whatever. And I knew that my students were not going to be able to do that. They needed rehearsals. Eric Whitacre's virtual choirs were missing that rehearsal component that is so important to us. I mean, we don't really say, okay, here is the music and I will see you in 3 weeks. Just practice it. Here's like 5 things to think about, and then we're going to record you and put it together. So we don't do that, right? And so we need these rehearsals. And then the next thing to think about, how do you have a rehearsal without being physically present with people? So I will show you how to do that in a moment. I want to talk a little bit about my virtual band and orchestra. And so we are completely extracurricular. I am hoping eventually it will be a class. I would love to meet for an hour every day. I could dig in so much more. But right now, all I have is 2 time slots, so 2 30-minute rehearsals per week. My instrumentalists are made up of mostly band instruments, but I have 2 violin players, and so since I didn't want to stick them in their own little ensemble, we mostly play flex arrangements, which are great for, mixed instruments like I have. And so my virtual band and orchestra kiddos range from grades 6 through 12 right now. kids have to come in with some level of playing experience, so I don't have any sort of beginning band or orchestra program yet. I am constantly asked, okay, I want to join virtual ensemble, but I don't know how to play an instrument. Can you teach me? I was like, if I could clone myself, I would gladly do that. I would love to have a beginner program. It's just not feasible right now. I'm one person and I'm teaching. I'm the only music teacher at my school, K through 12. So one day I hoped that will be the case, or maybe my school will hire another music teacher. But for right now, all my kids have to come in with some sort of previous playing experience. Usually they were part of a program in brick and mortar before they transferred in, or they take private lessons. So that's kind of where my ensemble is at. Now, why should you have a virtual rehearsal? First of all, I think this is the most important thing too, is that it really is low prep. So it is kind of a novel, weird concept to be in Zoom silently with staring at a bunch of people with their instruments. But I will show you, it's as long as you can run a rehearsal, you can totally do this. You don't have to come up with, activities and put them in, your learning management system and then, grade things and, spend hours trying to put things together. You can have these rehearsals. You schedule them in Zoom, and then kids come in, and then you can rehearse. So it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of you, especially if you're like, okay, so I'm going to come up with all these music theory, things, and maybe a music history. And not to say that those things are not important, but if you are looking to kind of reduce your workload and just have kids practice and then come into rehearsal, this might be something feasible for you that won't take up as much of your time. Okay, next up, it gives kids what I like to call musical broccoli. So I would love for every single one of my students, every time they practiced, to take out their instrument and then start with long tones and breathing exercises. Like, that is my dream as a band director, but I was in high school once. I played flute and I took private lessons, and still I did not always play those long tones. In fact, most of the time I didn't. So even though we want kids to have a really well-rounded warm-up and get those really good technique, building exercises in, they don't always do that. And so having a virtual rehearsal ensures that kids are getting their musical broccoli. They're going to play long tones with you. They're going to do the breathing exercises with you. They're going to do all the things that you want them to do every time kids practice, but kids are kids and they do need some kind of structure. So tell my kids, we got to eat our musical broccoli sometimes. Also, this encourages practice. So I know a lot of you have signed up for Smart Music or Music First, sign your kids up. And so I use Smart Music with my kiddos. And I find that on the weeks that I don't have a virtual rehearsal, the amount of assignments that get turned in through Smart Music decrease. So this is just kind of an accountability measure. It's a reminder, hey, you need to, as soon as you get out of here, open up Smart Music, submit that assignment. And so even if you can meet once a week for 30 minutes and just go over a few basic things, have a really basic rehearsal and remind kids to practice, I promise you, your submissions on Smart Music are going to go up. And then lastly, and I think this is really the most important thing, especially considering everything that's happening right now, is that it creates community. So I took a survey my students at the end of last semester, my virtual ensemble kiddos, and I said, what do you like, or what's your favorite thing about virtual ensemble? And a lot of them said, I just really like playing music with other people. I like making friends. I like that I can chat with people before class. One day, my soprano twos randomly decided it was going to be bring your dog to the sectional day, and so everyone picked up their dog, and for a minute before we started rehearsal, everyone was like, okay, look at my cute dog. And so those are the moments that kids feel connected. And I think right now kids really want to feel connected because the world feels heavy right now. And so if you can give students a place where they can be in community with one another and do the thing they love, making music, I think that is really the most valuable thing out of all of this. And really the most valuable thing that I do too is that I can create a community for my kids around music and create these lifelong music learners and lovers. So, community, important. Okay, Now, we're about to go into rehearsal, I promise, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how I prepare for rehearsal first. So, before I get to rehearsal, so usually, a week out, let's say last rehearsal, I'll assign something in Smart Music. It'll be a small section. Students complete that. I will go into Smart Music and then I will listen to their recordings. And, usually common things appear either in sections or across the whole band. So, all right, the whole band is not playing Articulations in this section, or the whole band is really not crescendoing at all. They're just playing at one volume level, that kind of thing. So I listen and kind of find these common mistakes. And also, you can look at a piece of music and really know what your kids are going to need to refine. You don't necessarily need to hear them in the moment to know, like, oh, okay, I know my students are probably going to struggle with this, or I know they're not going to be doing this right away. Rely on your musicianship. You know a lot more than you think. And it can be a little disorienting at first not to be able to hear them, but, just kind of trust yourself and understand, and use these recordings too, but understand that, you probably know what your kids need for the most part. Okay, and then every 2 weeks or so, I take all of the individual parts, and so they're individual recordings from Smart Music, and then I combine them into a full band recording. That way my kids can hear what they sound like together. That way I can also hear what they sound like together. Because, even hearing kids individually, not the same as putting them all together. I find that, intonation really rears its ugly head when I put all the recordings together and then I say, oh, I can tell a whole lot of you did not tune your instruments before you press record. Make sure you do that and that kind of thing. So they can kind of hear it more, because when they just hear themselves back, they're like, oh, that sounds great. But, if they can hear them all together, it's completely out of tune. Like, okay, need to work on that. So it just kind of brings a different listening experience to my kids. And again, it creates that community. They get kind of excited when they're hearing, they're part of a bigger whole. All right, here is the agenda that I usually display for my students. And so this is the agenda that I display probably the third or fourth rehearsal. On the first and second rehearsal, I will have something like this displayed. So that way, when students are coming in, I usually play some sound. So I was just playing, some calm music, because I know we're all a little stressed right now. So, but that way they can know whether or not their sound is working. And then I have something right up on the screen that if they can't hear anything, I'm not going to have to frantically type into the chat, like, okay, here are the things that you need to do to troubleshoot your sound. It just has it right there. So I highly recommend, and I am going to post this slide deck. I know I said in the choir rehearsal yesterday I'm going to post it, so I will post it for both of you all, so you can have this kind of snippet here if you want to use it. But I have learned over time that if you can have a sound check troubleshooting guide right on that first slide for the first, 1 to 3 rehearsals, it kind of cuts down on the amount of furious typing that you'll have to do to students who can't hear you. All right, so like I said, then we get to rehearsal 3 or 4, and this is what they see, so they know exactly what they'll need for the rehearsal. So we are going to begin with the rehearsal. We are going to do some warm-ups. So I have given everybody a warm-up, and so we'll play just 3 warm-ups from that. And then we'll play a little bit of Fantastical Journey, which is the piece that I have, that we graciously got permission to use, and that we will work on a little bit. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and we are going to commence rehearsal. So the first thing I have my students do is turn on their cameras. So yes, you have to turn on your cameras. I say, I just want to see your beauteous faces, but also it lets me see their posture. It lets me see their fingering. It lets me see how they're breathing. Even though I'm not going to be able to hear you, I can sure as heck see if you are breathing across the bar line in circumstance. Trust me. So you want to rely on visual aspects more. And like I said, it is super disorienting not to be able to hear at first. But the more you do this, the more you'll be able to catch student mistakes like this. So I am happy to see you all. If you want to gently put your instrument down, we are going to do just a quick little physical stretch to kind of relieve some stress. So I tell my students, you know, they go to school virtually, they're on their computers all the time, and I want them to have good posture and less tension in their bodies, because when you have tension in your bodies, then you might have tension in your playing. So let's just start by rolling our shoulders back. And I say, yes, you have to do it. We're going to do it all together. And in the opposite direction. And then go ahead and roll your neck in one direction. And in the opposite direction. And then go ahead and shake your wrists out a little bit. And then gently stretch in this direction and the opposite direction. And switch. Gently. All right, and put your hands down. And then I want you to put a lot of tension in your shoulders and let them go. Lots of tension in your shoulders and let them go. One last time, lots of tension in your shoulders, and then push them back and down. Oh, look at that beautiful posture you just gave me. All right, so don't pick up your instrument yet. We are going to do some breathing exercises. So I will go through these kind of briefly. I know you're all band directors and you know how to do these already, or speak similar to them. So we are going to breathe in for 2 and then out for 8, in for 2, out for 12, in for 2, out for 16. And usually I have my students do 2 of each. We'll just do 1. So when you breathe in, make sure you're breathing from your belly. When you breathe out, going to pick a spot on your hand, make sure that it is cool air. So go ahead and put your hand up like this. Yes, I'm going to make you actually do it because your students are going to be hesitant to do it too. So go ahead and blow on your hand like you're going to fog up a mirror. Draw a little smiley face. That is not the kind of air that I want you to use. And that's what I tell my students while you are breathing out. So go ahead and blow and pretend there's just a small little dot on your hand right here and you're trying to hit the dot. Okay, so that's cooler air. I want you to use cooler air as we breathe in and out. Don't breathe through your nose. Here we go. All right, so usually I use the TE Tuner app, which is great to give us a metronome click. And I'm going to do this just a little bit faster. Okay, so here we go. In for 2, out for 8, in for 2, out for 12, in for 2, out for 16. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and in 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, here comes 12. In 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here comes 16. In 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, and so if we were in actual rehearsal, I'd make them do that again, and I'd say, you know, are you running out of air? Is it even? All that. Okay, so next we're gonna float some airplanes, throw some darts, and some bows and arrows. Okay, breathing. So yes, I'm really gonna make you do this. So the more you can get kids kind of moving and involved, the easier it will be to see them, and the more willing they'll kind of be to move around and show you what they're doing in the future. It feels a little weird because your band director is like in your house, basically. So your kids might feel a little strange at first. Just try to tell them we're going to look silly together. Okay, so breathing. We are going to float some paper airplanes together. And so in a moment, we'll breathe in, go back, and then we'll use that same kind of cooler air. And we're going to send a paper airplane with our air. So we're gonna do this 2 times. Here we go. Ready? Breathe in. And float a paper airplane out. Do it again. All right, so this is your piano air. Here we go. We're gonna throw some darts next. So you need a little bit more force to throw some darts. This is your mezzo forte air. Here we go. Let's throw some darts together. Ready? Breathe in. Throw another dart with your air. Okay, and lastly, bow and arrow air. So we are gonna embrace our inner Katniss Everdeen. We are gonna bring our bow and arrow air back, and shoot it through with our forte air. Here we go. Ready? Yes, coming right to you. All right, so then I will say, so we transition from this, and I'll say, okay, we've got our piano, mezzo forte and forte air. Can you do this gradually? So we're going to do 4 beats to go from piano to forte, or from paper airplane to bow and arrow air. and then 4 beats to go in the opposite direction. So let's go ahead and do that. So 4 beats to crescendo, or to go from paper airplane to bow and arrow, and then 4 beats to go in the opposite direction. Here we go. You don't have to do any hand movements, though. If you want to, if you feel inspired, that's fine. But I just, actually, here's what I'll have you blow on your hand. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and crescendoing, and decrescendoing. Okay, and then I would do that a couple times with my kiddos, and it would be great. So that just kind of gives you, can I get a copy of the previous screen and a copy of the notes? Yes, I can do that, for sure. Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now you can go ahead and pick up your instruments. Pick up your instruments. Here we go, the part you have been waiting for. But look at all that musical broccoli we just consumed that your kiddos probably won't do on their own, but we're doing here together. I just love seeing all these band directors. This is my jam. See, and isn't it great to just be together with other people who get what's going on? I'm telling you, your kids need a little bit of community. Okay, so we are, go ahead and, whoops, where did my agenda go? Okay, go ahead and take out your warm-up exercises. So these warm-up exercises, I'm just gonna show the people in the Facebook group. These are just 5 basic exercises, and so I am offering this exercise for you to put into Smart Music. So I like this. I like to have just 1 exercise for students to practice, so they don't have so many Smart Music assignments cluttering up their assignments. So what I do is I take this assignment and I make it due at the end of the semester, and I put in the title, "Do not submit, practice only, warm up." And so that way kids have a warm up to follow. If they do, perchance, practice a warm-up outside of our rehearsals. So like I said, it is in the link in the Facebook. If you're here in Zoom, don't panic, I will give that to you too. But you can download the music XML file and then just upload it into Smart Music and compose, assign it to your kiddos, and they'll have a complete warm-up without having to be assigned 50 different things. Okay, so here we go. First one is long tones using good air. This is about to get super disorienting because I am going to be conducting, and you will not hear anything except for yourself. And everybody in Facebook is just going to watch us rehearse silently. So here we go, warm up number 1, long tones. Here we go. Let's do it a little bit faster for time's sake. Okay, so the reason why I use metronome and conduct, just in case there's some sort of visual delay or kids having lag, they can't see me, they'll still be able to hear for most of the time. Okay, so here we go. Warm up number 1. It's just a B flat scale on long tones. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready. And off. All right, so with this, when you are doing this rehearsal, you kind of got to sing it in your head, and sometimes you are going to lose track of where you are, and your kids are going to look at you, you're going to cut them off, and your kids are going to be like, we were not in the same place. It's okay. You just got to give yourself grace on that. Okay, now we're going to do that again. This time I want you to crescendo for 4 and then decrescendo for 4, using that airplane to bow and arrow air and back down. So here we go. Same thing, crescendo for 4, decrescendo for 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, crescendo. Make sure it's nice and even. I know you're all professional musicians. This is what I would tell my kids. Okay, next we are going to do exercise number 2. Here we go. Exercise number 2, same tempo. This is just a slurs exercise. Exercise number 2. 1, 2. Exercise 2. 2. Ready. And off. All right, and articulations. Okay, so I have one more thing for you on my screen. So I'm gonna make this caveat. I know there are a whole lot of ways to teach articulations. I know lots of people have strong feelings about teaching articulations. Don't at me. If this is not your preferred way of teaching articulations, you do you. I'm just doing me, okay? Okay. So I just had to give that disclaimer before I put this slide up. Okay, so next, articulations. I promise this is all going to connect to the music once we get to it. Articulations. All right, so we have tenuto, articulations, or tenuto, accent, marcato, little hats, and staccato. So, tell my kids. Tenutos, 100% of the note. Do, 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 do. Say it with me. Ready? Do, 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 do. All right. Accents. A little bit heavier on the front end. And if it's an eighth note or a quarter note, we're going to have 75 note and 25% space. So a little bit of space at the end. If we have a half note or a whole note, it's just going to be heavier on the front end. So accents sound like da, 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 da. Say that with me. Ready? And da, 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 da. I don't know if this looks right to you. I don't know if I'm the right way or the wrong way, but that's okay. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. All right, marcatos, our little hat. So we have 50% note and 50% space. And so it's just a little bit shorter than our accents. Dot, 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 dot. Try that with me. Ready? And dot, 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 dot. Okay, and our staccatos. Notice that you still have 25% space. It doesn't say 25% note. It doesn't say 25% or read or it says note. So make sure you are still playing a beautiful tone. You still have 25% of the note for your staccato. So staccatos sound like this. Dit, 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 dit. Try it with me. Ready? And dit, 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 dit. Okay, great. Now we are going to play the articulation exercise. So for the people who are in the Facebook, they're going to play 4 of each. So now that you have this visual, make sure that your articulations, each measure should sound different. Think about do, da, dot, dit. Okay. Here we go. Articulations. Exercise number 5. 1, 2, exercise 5, 2, ready. Do, 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 do. Da, 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 dit. And off. Okay, so you may be thinking, why is she conducting with her hands? Why does she not have a baton? It's just a little easier for me, and also it feels just strange to me to be conducting with a baton in front of literally no one. I mean, I know you're all here, but I just prefer to do it Leopold Stokowski style and just use my hands for these purposes. If you like using a baton, that's fine. I find that also, I mean, it's a little more difficult to see, especially if you're smaller in gallery view. So up to your discretion, but if you're wondering why I'm not doing that, again, it's just easier for me in this situation. I'm just, you know, kind of in a smaller space too. Okay, now that we are all warmed up, look at that wonderful musical broccoli that we just did. Again, such value. We are gonna go ahead into the piece. So go ahead, whoops. Go ahead and bring up Fantastical Journey. Okay. So again, going back to this agenda, we're just going to work on measure 75 to the end. So we are pretending that we have kind of worked through the notes on these and we can play it okay. And so I kind of tried to put myself in where we might be in, as if, you know, you were starting something for your spring concert or something like that. So we are not starting this from the very beginning. We're pretending like, okay, we've got the notes down, so we are going to talk a little bit more about articulations, dynamics. So I will just start by saying this. I did not have a ton of time to prepare the score, so I got the score on Sunday. I was largely trying to help people on Sunday, and I taught today. So this is not the most perfect score preparation that you are ever going to view in your whole life, I promise you. But we're going to give it a try. So go ahead and open up to, or find measure 75. We are first going to take a listen from 75 to the end, just so you and everyone who's kind of tuning in can take a listen to this part that we are going to rehearse. And so I do regularly play recordings for my kids. For Zoom, when you click on share, there is an option if you go into advanced where you can share computer sound only. So those of you who are in Zoom, you can look at the Facebook Live recording later and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But those of you who are looking right now in Facebook, see computer sound only and then click share. And so I am going to play this for you. Go ahead and follow along. Go ahead and finger along with your part as you hear it. So let me back this up a little bit. Okay, so it is going to start right on it. And if I had a little more time to prepare, I might have said, okay, we're gonna do a count-in or something like that, but I had, like I said, not too much time. So we're gonna start right on it. Here we go. Cool. I think this piece is super fun. Does that share feature work if you are using a cell phone? I think it should. I'm not 100% sure though. I would say if you want to figure out if things work in Zoom, create a Zoom account, take your phone or your tablet and log into whatever device you want to practice on, and then you can also log in on a separate device into that room and you can just, you know, you can kind of play back and forth. If you, I think a few people yesterday were also saying like, let's meet up in Zoom and practice. So that's another way that you can do it. Yes, yeah. So definitely if you are hosting, you'll be able to see more students at one time if you use a computer. So you can see up to 49 people Brady Bunch style in the gallery view like I am seeing right now. Whereas on your phone, I think you can only see 4, and a tablet, you can see 9. So using a computer, if possible, is definitely your best bet if you have access to that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start at measure 75. Oh my gosh, look at all these staccatos and accents. So I want you to be thinking about those dit and da. And so when we get to notes, you know, that have so we have some whole notes where we have the accents. Again, just heavier on the front. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and run 75 to the end, focusing on those accents. So keeping in mind your staccatos and accents. And so, oops. All right, so I will change the tempo. Nope, that's not the right tempo. So usually, if I'm coming into this, I will have the tempo as pre-prepped. Okay, so it's at 112. Like I said, please forgive me. I do more score prep when I have the time. Here we go, 112. So here we go. At 75, focusing on your accents, thinking about dits and das. Here we go, 75. 1, 2, 75, 2, ready. Okay, and then if there were specific sections, you know, if my kids were really, you know, if I knew that they were really going to struggle at the end, I'd say, okay, let's play the last two measures, and I would model for them, that kind of thing. All right, so now let's focus on dynamics. So go ahead and find measure 81. So we're going to look at measure 81 and 82. So most of you are playing crescendos and then drop back down, crescendo again. So let's try just those measures. I want you to think about the air. We are going from paper airplane to bow and arrow, paper airplane to bow and arrow, one after the other. So here we go, measure 81 and 82 only. Let's try that. Here we go, 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Okay, try that again. Make sure that you're really getting down quiet enough that second time. Here we go, 1, 2, ready. Okay, awesome. All right. So, and I said, when you stop speaking while you're conducting, we can no longer hear the metronome. Oh no, okay. That might, okay, so I have a feeling, so my computer is overheating because I have so many things pulled up. So that may be why it might be trying to filter that out. So I apologize for that. So what you can also do, and I have done this too, is you can pull up a metronome on your computer and do the share sound only, and also do it that way. So it definitely gets through to kids. Like I said, my computer's overheating right now, so I have a feeling that anything kind of close to the speakers is getting filtered out because of that. There's also a setting you can change in Zoom where it does not feature or filter out any background noise. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there is something that you can do for that. Okay, so that is, again, I would kind of run those two things. I might run the section again. I might put it back into context, you know, normal rehearsal things. But that at least kind of gives you an idea of how you can run a rehearsal without hearing kids. And you can kind of, you know, rely more and more on visuals too. Obviously, again, we're all professional musicians, so not going to be quite as many mistakes happening that way. But just be mindful of that. All right. Now, after we do that rehearsal, sometimes I do put my students into breakout rooms and give them time to record in smart music. So if I'm, every once in a while, sometimes my kids just like, and it's extracurricular, so these are not grades. So I don't have a grade that I can attach, you know, a missing smart music assignment to. So sometimes I just need to get them to do it. And so I will put them in breakout rooms. And so these are individual rooms in Zoom. You can put a group of people in this breakout room. You can put one person in this breakout room. For this purpose, I put kids into individual breakout rooms, and then I tell them, okay, bring up smart music. You're gonna share your screen. And so that way I can see if they're having any tech issues or not. And it also kind of holds them accountable, so they're not just going into an individual breakout room and then pulling up YouTube and tuning out. So having to share their screen and show like, yes, I am actually working on smart music here, kind of gives them some accountability. And so to create breakout rooms, again, people who are in Zoom right now, you can see this later, but you just go into more. Actually, I can share my whole screen. Let me do that real quick. All right, let me do that real quick. Okay, so you can go into more, and then breakout rooms. And then you can put however many, kids you want into a breakout room. And we're not going to do this right now, but if you want kids to be individual, since there are 26 people in here, you would put 26 rooms. It says down here, 1 person per room, and then you have the ability to go in and check on kids. If you wanted kids to talk something out or talk through a rhythm or something like that, if you wanted to put them in, groups of 3 or 4, then, or, math. But you can also, if you want to assign specific kids, so automatically it's just going to divvy up kids manually. That means you can put kids in specific rooms what you want, and then you'll just create breakout rooms. So we're not going to do that here because it just takes a while to do, to get everyone in and then everyone back. Not seeing the smart music stuff. So it should be in a link in the Facebook description. I will also send it out after this. Okay. So yeah, so the warm-up is just the music XML file that I gave, or of the warm-up that we did earlier today, that you can put right into Smart Music using the Compose feature, give to your students. All right, so that's what the time to record is. And then at the end, I tell them, your next Smart Music assignment, you need to record in Smart Music by March 22nd. I will show them exactly, I'll bring up the screen, I'll show them exactly where to click. I go by step every single time, because I find, if I don't do that, some kid is going to be like, I just couldn't find it this time. So I share my screen, I show them where exactly to click to get in. I created a student account so that way they can see exactly what it looks like on their end. So I have a student account, I'll go in and, just pull it up on my screen, click through it and say, okay, here's what you have to do, here's what I expect, that kind of thing. So that is largely, kind of in a shell, how to run a virtual rehearsal. So if anyone in Zoom has questions, I can try to answer them. I know there are probably questions in the Facebook Live. I'm going to get to those afterwards. But I will answer the Zoom questions for now. Can this be done on Chromebooks? Yes. So you have to go into Zoom and enable the, hold on, I'm going to pull it up real quick. Enable the setting for join through browser. So let me bring this up. Okay. Sorry, whoever this is, I'm going to put your face on here so it blocks what my personal account is. Thank you. You are a beautiful, wonderful band director for doing this. Okay, so if you go into settings. All right, thank you, whoever you are. I appreciate you. Kimberly, you're a true American hero. Okay, all right, so settings is where you want to go. If you scroll down, there are about 1 million settings. I'm pretty sure this one is all the way at the end. Okay. Okay, here you go. So it's pretty far down, but you have to enable show a join from your browser link. And that way, people who can only join through browsers will be able to just join that way and won't have to download Zoom. So make sure this is checked in your settings. I don't think it automatically is defaulted to this. Okay. Can you use another web conferencing app other than Zoom? Yeah, you totally can. I like to use Zoom because this is you can see like the maximum amount of people easier. So you can see up to like 49 people at one time, which I like, being able to see all of my kids Brady Bunch style. I haven't used Google Hangouts or Skype for video conferencing purposes for like 2 years since my school has a Zoom like education subscription. So I've largely used Zoom, but you could do this really from anywhere, from anything that would work for you. Okay, awesome. Any other questions? And so a good thing for wait time is that I always use timers. So when I ask kids if they have questions or if I ask for an answer, I'll put a 30-second timer up so that way I'm waiting. Because it is kind of more awkward when you're just waiting silently in your house for anything. You're just like, Okay, so that is a good classroom management tool. If you want to see more about classroom management, I did do a post or a series of posts on Instagram. I'm at _musical_rose, and so if you check that out, I posted three posts on classroom management in Zoom, because yes, there is classroom management involved even in the virtual world. Okay, I'm not seeing too many other questions. If you do think of things, and I'm sure there are people in the Facebook live stream saying things, and I will get to those later, I will definitely be in there. So it's my Instagram, and I'll put this link in the chat right to my Instagram. So even if you don't have an Instagram account, I think you should be able to see it. Don't quote me on that. But they are, and so I do this all the time with my kids. If I want to pull something up in demo, it's really easy. I have 2 monitors. Highly recommend, if you're going to be in a virtual situation for more than 2 weeks, try to get yourself a second monitor. It doesn't have to be a fancy one, but it does help a lot. So if you go here, you'll see classroom management in Zoom, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Okay, awesome. All right, so I think that's it. We're just at about time for an hour. Thank you to all of the awesome band directors that came in and participated in this rehearsal. Round of applause for them in the chat too. I appreciate you all being here. I think it was awesome that we could get together and be in the same space. And so I hope that you can do this with your kids. I am going to be doing a couple more sessions. I'm going to show you how I set up Smart Music, how I put all of my individual recordings together in GarageBand. I'm going to do an elementary music lesson hopefully tomorrow. So just stay tuned in the group, and we can do it. Promise you, we can do it. We're going to make it through this. So high five to you all. And that's it for tonight. I will see you over in the Facebook group. Bye, all. All right. Bye. And thank you all who came and stayed in the Facebook live stream. Like I said, I will be getting to you in a moment.